the Trump cabinet, and other top agency heads. So who's in, who are we waiting for, and who might not even get a hearing? This is The Brief. I'm Marianne Ahern. So once a president is elected, he chooses his cabinet. These are the men and women who lead more than a dozen different agencies, and they represent his views, whether it's the military, the economy, or a big one these days, immigration. They are his team, and they steer and execute policy. The ones we are focusing on require Senate confirmation. Currently, the ones that we are waiting to see whether or not they will get confirmed: Kash Patel to lead the FBI, Tulsi Gabbard to lead CIA, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to lead HHS. Remember, the Republicans lead in the U.S. Senate with 53 senators, so it is very likely that Donald Trump will get his choices through. Let's start with Kash Patel. He has been chosen to lead the FBI. He is a former public defender, also a former prosecutor, all of that taking place in Florida. Certainly, he is not a traditional pick. However, he does believe what Donald Trump has said, that the FBI needs to be completely overhauled, and feels as if, like Trump, that the FBI has been politicized against the president.
So how have his Senate confirmation hearings been so far? Tell us about that process.
It was contentious. I mean, the Democrats, of course, they were focusing on what did Kash Patel say before he ever got to that hearing. He did talk about an enemies list. He, of course, agrees with Donald Trump in many of his stands on what the FBI needs to do to clean itself up. But when it came to the question from Senator Dick Durbin, did Kash Patel believe in letting all of the insurrectionists, their sentences be commuted, he had an interesting comment.
Was he wrong to do it?
I do not agree with the commutation of any sentence of any individual who committed violence against law enforcement.
Supporters, of course, say that Patel is exactly what the FBI needs right now. He has held national security jobs before, but the controversy is he's also been selling self-branded merchandise online. Up next, Tulsi Gabbard. That's who Trump has chosen to be the director of national intelligence. Really what it means, she would be the head of the CIA. She is a former Democratic congresswoman. In fact, she even ran for president as a Democrat. She was a very big, harsh critic of Joe Biden and now is a strong Trump loyalist. Gabbard's a combat veteran. She is critical of more U.S. support for Ukraine. So why don't people necessarily like her, or why is she controversial? Well, what she has said in the past, that's what is happening for many of these cabinet secretaries, not so much where they stand today, what they've said before. She has reiterated pro-Russian comments. She also at one point met with Syrian President Assad. And so that has people saying, wait a minute, is this the right person for the CIA?
So talk to us a little bit more about why President Trump chose her for this job.
It's believed she's part of this, let's shake it up, let's have someone new, let's not have the old guard once again run an agency. She is considered quite bright. Of course, he likes her military background, and she's a strong Trump loyalist. Now to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the name you've probably heard before. He has been chosen by Trump to lead Health and Human Services. Kennedy's background is he is a vaccine skeptic, but many support him because of what he has said about getting chemicals out of food. He is someone who's more organic. Let's eat just the food that's been from the farm, and let's stop putting all this stuff in it. That's where he gets much support. But Democrats are questioning, is he really the same R.F. Kennedy Jr., who also had a lot to say in favor of abortion? Now, of course, he stands with Donald Trump and says he is an anti when it comes to abortion.
I agree with President Trump that every abortion is a tragedy. I agree with him that we cannot be a moral nation if we have 1.2 million abortions a year. I agree with him that the states should control abortion. President Trump has told me that he wants to end late-term abortions, and he wants to protect conscious exemptions, and that he wants to end federal funding for abortions here or abroad. That's Title X. I serve at the pleasure of the president. I'm going to implement his policies.
The RFK Jr. appointment is even divisive within his own family. His cousin, Caroline Kennedy, she wrote a letter to the senator saying, do not pick him, and she labeled him a predator. If you'd like to see more of the videos that we've done on RFK Jr., click the link here. It'll explain it. Those who have already made it through the confirmation process, let's start with Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio is the former senator from Florida. He also ran for president as a Republican in 2016. He is the son of Cuban immigrants. He is a huge supporter of Israel, as well as more support for Ukraine. He's already taken his first international trip, and that's often what is said to be the focus of where his intentions lie. And so he went to Latin America. A lot will be made of whether or not, as Trump has said, we're giving too much attention and too much financial support to Panama. We'll see where that goes.
So how do senators feel about Marco Rubio?
Marco Rubio was approved unanimously, 99-0. Of course, he can't vote for himself, but even Democrats, Durbin, Duckworth, other strong Democrats throughout the country, they did support him. And that goes to show that while this is often a very political bias in these votes for the cabinet, in his case, he had the respect of the U.S. Senate. The new Secretary of Defense is Pete Hegseth, and many wondered if he really would win this appointment. But he did, and he did so because Vice President J.D. Vance cast the tie-breaking vote. He is a former veteran, was deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. He also was a Fox News contributor. He did face allegations of sexual misconduct and alcohol abuse. Initially, he said women should not serve in combat, but later in those confirmation hearings, he walked that back.
What do you have to say to the almost 400,000 women who are serving today about your position on whether they should be capable to rise through the highest ranks of our military?
I would say I would be honored to have the opportunity to serve alongside you.
Trump wanted him in his first cabinet, but told him he was too young. Trump likes him because he says he has that warrior mentality. He has already taken his first trip to the southern border and has promised to make the military great again. The new Secretary of Homeland Security is Kristi Noem. She is the former governor of South Dakota. Now she will oversee immigration, Customs, and Secret Service. She has taken a tough stand on immigration. She has even been a part of the deportation raids, and she's been highly critical of sanctuary cities, especially when she hears that sanctuary cities have already baked in laws that say local law enforcement, cannot help federal agents. In fact, she wants them to be punished for not cooperating.
She does have critics, though, so talk to us about what they've said about her.
She does have critics because there are those who say, hey, she came from South Dakota. That's not exactly a border state. Perhaps a state that had really experienced this immigration crisis might have been someone they would have preferred. Up next, the Attorney General, Pam Bondi. She is Trump's second pick. He had wanted Matt Gaetz. He did not make it through even to a hearing. Then he chose Bondi. She is the former Attorney General from Florida. She also served on Trump's legal team at his impeachment trial. In Florida, she was known for tightening state laws against human traffickers. She agrees with President Trump that the Department of Justice should face its own internal investigation and that the federal prosecutors were after Trump. She does not believe that was necessary. Leading the Department of Transportation, Sean Duffy. And no sooner was he sworn in that the crash over the Potomac, the mid-air crash between the helicopter and the American Airlines plane, happened, and he was dispatched to the scene. His credentials have been questioned. He was a reality TV star. He also was a Fox News contributor. But he did serve in Congress and also in the Wisconsin legislature. There is one cabinet appointee who might not even get a hearing. That would be Linda McMahon. She has been appointed to lead the Department of Education. She was also with Trump in his first cabinet as the head of the Small Business Administration. But in this case, the president wants to abolish the Department of Education.
I told Linda, I hope you do a great job and put yourself out of a job. I want her to put herself out of a job. Education department. So we're ranked number 40 out of 40 schools, right? We're ranked number 1 in cost per pupil. So we spend more per pupil than any other country in the world, and we're ranked at the bottom of the list. We're ranked very badly. And what I want to do is let the states run schools. I believe strongly in school choice, but in addition to that, I want the states to run schools, and I want Linda to put herself out of a job.
We do have a full video about Trump's plan to get rid of the Department of Education. You can click the link here. Here's the bottom line. Cabinet secretaries are the president's closest advisors. Have you ever seen that table where they're all sitting there and they each, at least it seems to all of us, that they weigh in on important topics, on crises, or perhaps even just what is going on in the world that day? These are the most trusted. And sometimes they stay all of the president's term, and sometimes they don't get along and they don't remain there. Most Republicans have supported President Trump's picks, even if privately they have offered reservations.
So what do these cabinet picks show about what's important to President Trump?
In Donald Trump's case, it is loyalty. These are folks who have said they are loyal to President Trump, and we've even seen it in the hearings that despite perhaps views they had before they were appointed, they are willing to change those views to be a part of his team. So, what do you think about the cabinet? Please leave us a comment. That's the brief. Thanks for checking in.